Would Kimberly be shocked? And it's a delight to welcome her in the morning. Okay, here we go. Kmart. We're going to start with talking about the Buffalo Bills. I want to show you their upcoming schedule. It is not what we would describe in sports as a murderer's row. There certainly feels like a lot of winnable games, and as you can see, they are actually favored to win all the remainder of their games on ESPN Bet Sportsbook. So that sets up our first question. Would Kmart be shocked if the Bills clinch the AFC East by the beginning of December?
I hope I don't jinx Brandon Beane and Josh Allen, but no, I would not be shocked if they end up clinching the division. You just put up the schedule, Greeny. They've played very well. Josh Allen is playing better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, and the way their schedule is set up, we knew that they were going to have the easiest schedule, so I think they're in good company.
Yeah, the division falling by the wayside a little bit. We'll see where they go.
I didn't want to talk about your Jets.
The next one, no. Well, we'll get to that. There's not a whole lot of reason to talk about them when it comes to the division. They played each other, by the way, and the Jets still haven't started competing in that game. Okay, let's get to the Jaguars. Would Kmart be shocked if the Jaguars win the AFC South?
I would not be shocked. And you know why I'm saying that? I don't want Liam Cohen to knock me out. I just feel like I'm that dude always wants a fight. No, honestly, you think about that division, like at this point, they have a good record. The Titans are kind of a mess right now. Cam Ward's saying that himself, so I wouldn't be shocked. I think they've got talent, and their record is pretty good.
Jeffrey, do you take that personally?
Absolutely.
From an Indianapolis perspective?
Have we watched it? If Mitchell just possesses the ball one more second, they beat the Rams. Are we not putting the Colts above the Jags? Come on, Kmart, be better than that.
I'm just trying to get under Jeffrey.
You just don't want Liam mad at you. I understand.
That's exactly right. I don't blame her. And that last one, would Kmart be shocked after watching them play last weekend and all maybe seeming right again in the kingdom if Kansas City finds its way all the way back to the Super Bowl one more time?
No, I would not be shocked. This is a team that, coming into this year, figured getting knocked around in the Super Bowl, that would wake them up a little bit. This has not been the season they expected, but I think you saw a worthy comeback and you saw some juice, you saw some energy in this offense. I think now they've survived Rashee Rice at this point with his absence. So I think they're in pretty good position.
So, Jeff, you weren't here yesterday. There's been a pretty split debate on this show this week. I feel like about half the people I've had on have said, see, that's what it's supposed to look like. They get Worthy back. They're going to get Rashee Rice back. The Chiefs are right back where they want to be. And others have said, hold on, the Ravens defense is going to make a lot of people look healthier than they actually are. Where do we sit?
I'm on the side where the Ravens are going to make you look a lot better than you probably are. I mean, you think the Ravens in the run game are 31st in the league. Passing game, they're 25th. So did the Chiefs play exceptionally well? They did, right? They finally ran the ball. They finally did the things Worthy had explosive plays. Travis Kelce took a time machine back. He was lighting it up. Everybody was playing well. But my issue with the Chiefs is not always about it's about the fundamental portion of it. They don't run the ball well. They average 67 yards a game with their running backs, which is almost dead last in the league. Explosive plays are still. You're not playing the Ravens, and here's my issue. I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue with the Chiefs going to the playoffs. The Chiefs want to win the Super Bowl. So if we're talking about them as a Super Bowl winning team, my issues are deeper than just can we go beat the Ravens. That's why I still have hesitation.
Yeah, look, I think that they are turning a corner. I think, look, number one, look at the pace that they played at yesterday. The speed component looks like it's back now. Okay, and when you have that, whether it be you're talking about go balls, whether you're talking about jet sweeps, those kinds of things that are stretching the field horizontally and vertically, it just starts to create more space. The running game has never been really fantastic in the Kansas City, even when they were winning Super Bowls. I mean, they never had someone who they could really count on to that Patrick could say, hey, look, you know what, I got to hand this ball off a few times. You got to take some of the load off of me. The load is always on him.
No doubt.
The fact of the matter, though, is this. The offensive line came off the ball with some authority yesterday. Travis Kelce looked different yesterday. Tyquan Thornton has kind of like developed now. Hollywood Brown looks pretty good. Juju Smith-Schuster is going, hey, I want to get in on this. And with Xavier being back, and remember this name too. Remember the name Brashard Smith, the seventh rounder out of SMU. Slowly you're seeing Andy work him into the backfield like he used Jerick McKinnon, and he has got blazing speed. That's what this team is built on, and I think you're starting to see that come to the forefront now.
I think it's fair to say, let's wait till we get Worthy and Rice. And that's what I was saying the first 3 weeks. A lot of people were saying that because it's almost, okay, go watch Get Up, but Greeny's out and Kmart's out and Hembo's out, but go watch Get Up and treat it like it's going to be at its best. That's not the case. You need to have your full arsenal before we judge you. And they haven't gotten Rice back. I think Rice, to me, is one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL when he's going in this offense. Worthy comes back, the thing opens up, and to Lewis's point, suddenly you're dusting off Pacheco. It's like, oh, hello, old friend. The Chiefs, that's what I remember. This was the unit that we were expecting before the season. I would like to judge them on this, and they might even get better once we get
And I do think they're going to get better. I just think that when we're talking about the game they just played, it's styles make fights. This is a perfect fight for the Chiefs. The Ravens can't generate pass rush. They can't stop the run. You can't stop them. That's an issue. So everything does look good and everything looks explosive and looks fast. It's when you start taking Worthy completely out of the game, or you get pressure on Mahomes by rushing 4 or rushing 3 and dropping 8. There's different things that teams can bring you. That's the only reason I say I have the hesitation, because of the opponent they just beat up on.
I think it's in the middle. Like the question of have they returned to championship caliber play, it's been 1 week. And I'm always going to be the voice of reason. Like 1 week doesn't mean a whole season. But the same reason we're talking about some of these other teams like the Ravens, what's happening with them? They have a lot of injuries. The fact that your best players aren't on the field, we can't ignore that also. So when you completely talk about the Chiefs, you can't also say like, well, they should be playing better, except they don't have their best players.
It's also worth pointing out, no team in the NFL had a better weekend last weekend than they did. Not only they get the win. Think about where we were a week ago.
We're crowning the Chargers.
And now, boom, Chargers lose a game. They suddenly don't look so invincible. Chiefs get this win. They play what shapes up to be a huge game Monday night against Jaguars.
They play the Jaguars on Monday night.
It's funny how the players matter, huh? Who you have available really does matter.
Always.
Yeah.
Dudes.
To that point, Andy Reid didn't forget how to drop an offense, guys.
Right.
No
Like
way.
they're going to be okay.
They needed to tread water until Rashee Rice got there. Banking that win on Sunday is critical. If they get themselves just a 3-3 and they get him back, now they're probably off and running. Now,
all right, we got a bunch of 2-2 teams in the NFL right now. Let's run through them. I'm going to give you the team. You tell me whether through your vantage point you see the 2 wins or you see the 2 losses. It's glass half full or glass half empty. Small's probably going more glass half empty. We know with her. Very negative all the time.
All
Here
the
we
time,
go.
Man.
2 wins or 2 losses?
Sorry about that.
What'd you say?
I just hit you with a man. Sorry, that was weird.
Okay. Chiefs, 2 wins or 2 losses? How do you see them?
2 losses. The 2 wins that they had were over the New York Giants and the decimated Baltimore Ravens. Not that impressive to me, whereas the losses were versus the Chargers and the Eagles. I think there are big-time issues with this Chiefs team, and I'm looking more at the losses than I am the wins.
Yeah, I see it the same way, in large part because the Chiefs' offense is one-dimensional. They can't run the football. There is no balance. And that puts a lot of pressure on Pat Mahomes to be special. And I'm not quite sure that they can rely on that every single game. So that's my biggest concern with Kansas City moving forward. We'll see whether or not things open up. Maybe they use the passing game to open up the running game. But I'm going to need to have more evidence that they can play at the level that we saw on Sunday against other teams that aren't the Baltimore Ravens defense.
Chicago Bears, 2-2. Smalls, you see the 2 wins or you see the 2 losses?
I see the 2 wins, Ev, surprisingly. And I know that the 2 losses were at the beginning of the season to Minnesota and Detroit, 2 division opponents. But I think Caleb Williams has shown incremental growth week to week. And the fact that they've been able to string 2 wins together against teams that they should beat, and the Cowboys and the Raiders, is a positive sign.
Man, I don't want to keep agreeing with you, but I see 2 wins as well. And you gave away the ghost in week 1 in a closely contested game at home. Then you found a way to come back and win a closely contested game in week 4 against the Las Vegas Raiders on the road. I'm impressed by the poise that Caleb Williams has showed, and it feels like he's finding his footing in Ben Johnson's offense. He's decisive in terms of knowing where he wants to go with the football. Sometimes his accuracy can get away from him a little bit because he's not set. His feet aren't in the right spot. But I tell you, in terms of understanding what his play caller Ben Johnson wants, I'm starting to see that more consistently from Caleb Williams.
Commanders, 2 wins or 2 losses, Smalls?
This one's kind of a push for me, but I'm going to go 2 wins more than 2 losses, just because obviously with Jaden Daniels being banged up, you don't really know the true complexion of this team. He's returning, so I still am more optimistic on the Commanders than not, even though they're sitting there at 2-2.
Yeah, cosign, I see 2 wins. Anytime your backup quarterback has started multiple games and you're not below 500 through the quarter pole, I'm going to see 2 wins.
This one's maybe the most interesting for me. Broncos, do you see 2 wins or 2 losses?
This one might be the most interesting because you've beaten the Titans and the banged-up Bengals without Joe Burrow, obviously, and you've lost to the Chargers and the Colts, 2 teams in the AFC that we think could compete for the AFC Championship game. I'm going to to go 2 losses, though, just because we talk so much about how this Broncos defense and an improved Bo Nix, we expected him to take a step forward in year 2, was going to come out and potentially contend for this division, and we haven't seen that version of them yet. So I'm going to lean more towards the losses than the wins.
I'm going to say 2 wins, and here's why. They got a top 5 running game. They just had their first 100-yard rusher. They hadn't had one in 38 games until what we saw on Monday night. So you give Sean Payton balance on the offensive side of the ball, he can be deadly. They're top 2 in scoring defense. They're top 10 in total offense. I think things are trending in the right direction. The losses earlier in the season, I think Denver gave the game away, and Bo Nix specifically with the turnovers. If they can get him on the other side of those, yeah, I'm bullish on the Denver Broncos. I'm still in on that team.
All right, 2-2 teams, how you view them? Through the 2 wins or the 2 losses? Let's get to the next one, the Minnesota Vikings. Smalls.
I'm going to go 2 losses, and I know that's a little counterintuitive because of the J.J. McCarthy injury with what I said about the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, and I know that they got some positive news. They're hoping that he's going to be at practice this week, but I still don't know what he is. So even if and when he comes back, I don't know if I can say I have confidence in them to be a team that's a true contender in the NFC. So I'm going to go 2 losses because I think the outlook on them is a little more dim.
Yeah, I see 2 losses as well. They've got wild card quarterbacks. They don't know what they're going to get from that position, and it's hard to have success in this league. And it's clear that the rest of the roster is championship contention worthy. So that's my biggest issue. Minnesota has got to do something at the quarterback position because I don't think the guys in that room right now are the solution for 2025.
Mike Vrabel, Drake May, New England Patriots, 2 wins or 2 losses?
Feels like 2 wins with the way Drake May's playing, right? Isn't that the ultimate goal with this Patriots team, is to make sure that Drake May's development continues? Feels like that's happening. So I'm going to say 2 wins.
It's 2 wins. It should be 4. It should be 4 with the way that they played. They gave up the game against the Las Vegas Raiders. They gave away the game against the Pittsburgh. It should be 4-0. So I see 2 wins. Just because the reason why they didn't win 2 games is because of self-inflicted wounds. And I know Mike Vrabel to be one of the best coaches in the NFL. He will get his team on the other side of those miscues, so I'm going 2 wins.
Arizona Cardinals, 2-2. You see them through the prism of 2 wins or 2 losses?
2 losses, because the 2 losses you had were back-to-back, both against division opponents and the 49ers and the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, 0-2 in the division through the first 4 games. That's nothing good happens from that. 2 losses.
Cincinnati Bengals minus Joe Burrow, 2-2. You see them through the prism of 2 wins or 2 losses?
Is anyone going to say 2 wins?
Atlanta Falcons, 2-2. 2 wins or 2 losses in your mind?
I'm going to say 2 wins, just because I really liked the bounce back effort from them after they were embarrassed by the Carolina Panthers, losing 30-0. Michael Penix Jr. and that offense bounced back in a strong way to beat the Washington Commanders. So I'm going to say 2 wins. I'm still hoping this offense can find some continuity.
I'm going 2 losses. I don't trust anything about the Atlanta Falcons right now. I don't. I mean, their pass rush, we'll see how good it is when they're going up against a competent quarterback. But, yeah, I don't trust the Atlanta Falcons at all. I see 2 losses.
Very quickly, Green Bay Packers are not 2-2, but they're 2-1-1. So you have 3 options. You see them through the 2 wins, 1 loss, or 1 tie.
2 wins.
The 1 tie. Because there's no world that exists where they should have tied that game.
Bruh. As I was doing it.
He did it. Come on.
I honestly did not realize that was
just so natural.
You knew you were doing it because you
you hear the squabble so often, it's just natural when you hear the music, huh?
It'll be all right.
Evan, do it.
No, I'm not going to do it, but thank you for the offer.
Living in the carpool line, hitting the squabble.
You're all excited now about a lot of things parenting. Just wait. A lot of things that are frustrating.
Someone sent this to me yesterday, but there is a woman online who wants to learn how to Dougie before her wedding. And she's something like 50 days out. And every day she's recording herself Dougieing so that she could get better. And someone was like, send this to Evan. That's what you should do, is you should do a progression of day 1 to like day 50 of you Dougieing. You're going to be John Wall by the end.
I'm telling that would be great, though. Like, this woman is documenting her learning how to Dougie, and then John Wall shows up to hit the Dougie with her
at the wedding.
Wedding reception.
That would be iconic.
That would be amazing.
That would be unreal. Well, there you go. You planted the seed.
There you go. It's got to happen.
Wedding pressure.
Put pressure on John Wall. You got to show up and do it.
What's he doing these days? You get John Wall out there, Dougie. And
Yeah, you go crash a wedding?
Yeah, why
Get some
not?
good press?
Anytime.
Dougie a little?
Yeah,
Get a slice of
John
cake
Wall.
for the road?
I'd actually like to know the answer to that question. What is John Wall doing? Is he broadcasting somewhere? Is he involved in basketball?
Teaching somebody how to duck.
Research is on.
Also at the same time.
Well, we could do your Dougie journey if you want online. We could be inspired by this woman's wedding.
My Dougie journey. I don't need to
No,
do
he's
Dougie
not.
journey.
He's not Dougie, and he's squabbling.
John Wall is joining the Amazon Prime team for the NBA after
Very
retiring.
That'd be great promotion for Amazon Prime with the NBA. John Wall showing up at this woman's wedding and Dougie in with her as she walks out for the reception.
Oh my gosh, and then he gifts the family an Amazon subscription or something
Yeah.
to promote his new broadcasting
absolutely.
career.
You know what? While we're at it, Udonis Haslam should show up at my son's bar mitzvah. Because just to promote that, since now he's part of the Amazon, and Dwayne Wade for that matter.
Yeah.
So Amazon, there's your idea. The Wade and Haslam at my kid's bar mitzvah in a year.
But they need to have a reason why. See, she's learning how to
want them
Dougie.
there.
John Wall is the Dougie king, so you need to come up with some sort of avenue to attract them that would go viral.
I got nothing.
As a potential playoff team, 3-1, and a monstrous game coming up this week, Pete.
Yeah, if they win that game, they'll be in the next tier.
Against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, Monday night, that place should be jumping. They actually might sell some tickets for once in the next couple of years. But I think when you look at this team and what they've done on defense, it's impressive. Anthony Campanelli has done a great job. They've taken the ball away, 13 turnovers. They had, 9 all of last year? I mean, that's incredible for a defense that's kind of really still lacks some issues. They still have some issues, particularly on the interior of the defensive line, but he's done a great job. Devin Lloyd might be one of the most improved players from year to year I've ever seen.
Contract year.
It's a contract year, but also they made him get heavy last year, and he's lost a bunch of weight, so he's faster. But more than that, they're making it simple for him. It was way too complicated. He didn't know his assignments. He was getting lost at times. They've made it simple, and he's just playing football. He's playing great football. Offensively, we still haven't seen what they can do. They've run the ball. They're one of the best running. The offensive line, by the way, another improved thing. They're one of the best running teams in the league. But we haven't seen the best of that passing game yet, in large part because of the drops, in large part because I don't think Trevor Lawrence has played as well as he can. I think they're eventually going to get that going, and if they do, boy, I'll tell you what, if the passing game gets going, Brian Thomas starts making plays down the field, Travis Hunter starts making plays down the field. You saw one the other day. They're going to be a tough team to beat, and they might actually win that division.
They actually could be 4-0 if not for the drops that you alluded to earlier in Cincinnati.
Correct. On Travis Hunter.
But I want to echo what Pete was talking about with Anthony Campanelli. I mean, what he's done to change not only the mindset of those players on this team, the culture on that side of the football. They're aggressive attacking style defense. You brought up Devin Lloyd. Aluakon just finds ways to get the ball off of people. Like, he's one of the best at that peanut Tillman punch, getting the ball off of people. Jordan Lewis has been one of the best slot corners that was an amazing signing. And we saw Eric Armstead, revenge game, gets the sack fumble versus the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, this is a big game this week, but I want to give them some love for traveling from the East Coast all the way to the West. Like, that's a tough thing to do in the NFL, travel from the East to the West Coast and get a major win. And then even on special teams, Parker Washington, big punt return. So right now, like, this is a team that is vying for the AFC South crown, but this is a massive game. If you want to be up in that tier, like Pete talked about, go beat the champions.
Since 2009.
Not the champions because they lost last year, but a team that is synonymous with winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the team that's owned the AFC and basically the NFL over the last 5 or 6 years. Another team in that same tier, that third tier, that playoff tier, that has a big, maybe statement game coming up this week. It's the Broncos coming in at number.
The Chiefs just pulled off something nobody saw coming, and it's not what happened on the field against Baltimore. While everyone's celebrating that dominant 37-20 beatdown, there's a trade rumor brewing that could completely reshape Kansas City's offense before the deadline, and it involves one of the most controversial acquisitions from last offseason. Hollywood Brown might be on his way out. The running back situation is still a mess that needs fixing. And oh yeah, Tyreek Hill's career might be over after that devastating knee injury on Monday night. But here's the kicker. Some of these moves could actually make the Chiefs even more dangerous heading into the playoffs, and the front office knows exactly what they're doing, even if it doesn't make sense to us right now. The hottest rumor circulating right now is one that caught everyone off guard. Hollywood Brown potentially heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers just lost Calvin Austin III to an injury that's going to sideline him for weeks, and suddenly they're looking at DK Metcalf as as their only proven pass catcher. That's a recipe for disaster in the AFC North, and Pittsburgh knows it. Here's where it gets interesting for Kansas City. Brown has been straight up underwhelming this season. Let's just call it what it is. The dude's sitting at 209 yards, 1 touchdown, and averaging 9.5 yards per catch on about 5 targets per game. His last score before Sunday's game, October 29th, 2023. That's over a year ago, man. Since week 1, Brown hasn't even cracked 50 receiving yards in a single game. That's not the production you expect from a guy you brought in to be a legit threat. But here's the twist that makes this trade talk so fascinating. Brown spent 3 years with the Ravens, which makes him a perfect fit for the AFC North. He knows the division, he knows the style of play, and Pittsburgh could use that familiarity. Brown's not lighting it up right now in KC, but he'd be a clear upgrade for what Pittsburgh has in their thin receiving room. The Chiefs don't need to rush this decision either. They could keep Hollywood for a couple more weeks and see how the group gels, especially with Rashee Rice coming back in 3 weeks. But if Pittsburgh's offense starts screaming desperation, which it might, trading Brown could net Kansas City some assets without gutting what they have at wide receiver. Brown's slot leverage and quick cuts still create separation on short routes. And while that might help Mahomes, who's been getting the ball out quick, it might be even more valuable to a team desperate for any kind of receiving help. The reality is, Brown doesn't have that deep ball threat anymore. It hasn't been part of his arsenal for 5 seasons now. The Chiefs can look to Taquan Thornton or Xavier Worthy for that vertical element. Brown's trade potential could give the Chiefs assets to address other needs like the running game, but holding off until Rice returns ensures they don't weaken the passing attack right before they face Jacksonville's elite defense. Honestly, I think this trade makes a ton of sense for both sides. Pittsburgh gets a veteran who knows the division and can contribute immediately, and Kansas City gets draft capital or players to shore up other positions. The timing would be perfect too. Wait until Rice is back, then pull the trigger if Pittsburgh is desperate enough. Connecting this trade talk to what actually happened on the field, let's talk about that absolute beatdown the Chiefs laid on Baltimore. This wasn't just a win, this was a statement game that reminded everyone why Kansas City is still the standard in the AFC. Final score 37-20, and those points came purely from Harrison Butker and the offense scoring, no defensive touchdowns padding stats. This was the first time in almost 2 years that Patrick Mahomes threw 4 touchdown passes. The last time he did that, October 12th, 2023 against the Raiders. That's a long drought for a quarterback of his caliber, and it showed just how much the offense has been struggling. Xavier Worthy coming back from that shoulder injury was absolutely crucial. There were questions heading into the game about whether he'd be limited, how that shoulder would hold up, how he'd be implemented into the game plan. Turns out everything was open with Xavier Worthy healthy. The dude went for 121 total yards, including a 35-yard end around where literally nobody touched him. He rushed the ball, caught passes, and reminded everyone why the Chiefs traded up to get him in the first round. When Worthy went down in week 1 on the third play of the season, it forced guys to play out of their roles. Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown, everyone had to duct tape the offenses together. Once Xavier came back, guys slotted back where they needed to be. They knew their roles, knew the expectations, knew how to prepare, and it just clicked. The play calling was noticeably better too, and that might be because Andy Reid felt like he could actually dial up some things offensively that maybe they couldn't do a couple weeks ago without Worthy. But the biggest positive from this game, the defense is absolutely legit. This is a championship caliber defense, no question about it. They had Lamar Jackson confused once again. Lamar is now 1-6 against the Chiefs in his last 7 games. Think about that for a second. This dude hasn't figured out how to beat Kansas City, and some of those losses came against weaker Chiefs teams. That looked like a defeated man on the sidelines when he was hurt, and the coaching across the board was phenomenal. This win is building serious momentum because the next game is against a decent Jacksonville team, and following that, they're playing the Lions. The thing is, I understand Baltimore was dealing with injuries on defense. They were missing like 6 defensive starters, but you can't let that take away from the overall domination we witnessed. Mahomes shredded that defense, and that's something we haven't been able to say for a while. The offense offense looked explosive, the defense looked dominant, and for the first time this season, everything came together at the same time. Looking at this game objectively, I believe this was the turning point of the season. This is where the Chiefs stop messing around and start looking like the team everyone expected them to be. But while everyone's celebrating that offensive explosion, the elephant in the room is still the running back situation. Brashard Smith is starting to earn some trust from the coaches, showing flashes with his 36 scrimmage yards and that 34-yard kick return against Baltimore. Being a 7th rounder, he might not be the initial spark this season down the stretch, but he's proving he belongs on the field. The problem is, Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt both struggled against a Ravens defense that wasn't exactly elite. Pacheco had 7 carries for 35 yards. Hunt had 13 carries for 34 yards, averaging just 2.6 per carry. That's not going to cut it deep into the season and in the playoffs. The Chiefs need to add something to this running back room, whether it's a blockbuster or just a depth piece. The Breece Hall rumors are dead now because Braylon Allen suffered an MCL sprain that's likely putting him on IR, which means the Jets are going to lean harder on Hall as their lead back. They're not trading him, especially sitting at a winless start. But here's a new name that dropped: Jalen Wright from the Miami Dolphins. The dude is just 22 years old, 5'10", 210 pounds, runs a 4.38 40-yard dash with an 11'2" broad jump and 38-inch vertical. He's got some Melvin Gordon vibes to him and has 2.5 years left on his rookie contract, making him budget friendly. With Miami at 1-3 and reeling from Tyreek Hill's brutal knee injury, the Dolphins might part with Wright for less than a draft pick, maybe even a player swap. That would be a steal for a guy with his athletic upside. Wright's gap explosion and check down reliability could give the Chiefs much needed versatility. Kansas City's got options: draft picks, spare players, so they can make trades happen before the deadline. Wright bursts through tight lanes with low pad level, letting him hit gaps hard, and those combined measurables translate to play that will punish undisciplined linebackers. He is still raw in pass protection though, so there's development needed there. To be honest, I'd rather see what Brashard Smith has in his game first before making any moves, but this is an interesting option if the front office decides they need more firepower in that backfield. Speaking of devastating injuries, let's address the Tyreek Hill situation because it's connected to all of this. What happened to Hill on Monday night was absolutely brutal. Multiple torn ligaments, nasty dislocated knee, facing multiple surgeries, and there's not even a guarantee of a 2026 return. His agent claims he's aiming for next season, but his age and that injury overall make you wonder what version of Tyreek we're gonna get if he does come back. Miami is sitting at 1-3, staring at a rebuild. They don't even know if they're gonna have their head coach next season, and Hill has $11 million guaranteed salary plus a $5 million roster bonus in March. It's unlikely Miami keeps him. Here's where it gets interesting for Chiefs fans. Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Tyquan Thornton are all hitting free agency next season. This receiving room could maybe use a veteran like Hill, and Kansas City could likely get him on a cheaper deal, but that's a 2026 story, not something for this year. Hill captured over 1,000 yards in 4 of his 6 years in KC and did the same feat in his first 2 seasons at Miami. When he's playing 15 games or more in a season, his lowest total in yardage was his rookie year at 593 yards, but he captured 6 touchdowns that season. Hill has never scored less than 6 touchdowns each season since joining the league, with his highest total coming in the 2020 season. Those are elite numbers that would be valuable to any offense, but the question is whether he can return to that form after such a catastrophic injury. Honestly, I think bringing Tyreek back in 2026 would be incredibly risky, but potentially rewarding if he can get healthy. The Chiefs would need to see him work out and prove he's still got it before committing any serious money. Now let's talk about the defensive dominance that's been flying under the radar while everyone focuses on offensive stats. Since 2019 under Steve Spagnuolo, Kansas City is a ridiculous 41-1 when they win the turnover margin, including 39 straight wins and a 5-0 postseason mark. That's an insane stat that shows just how important ball security is to this team's success. The Chiefs have nabbed 2 takeaways in each of their last 2 games, and both ended up being wins. They've only turned it over once so far this season, and that was that fluky Mahomes Mahomes pass that bounced off Travis Kelce's hands and shoulder pads and landed in an Eagles player's arms. Kansas City is tied for the fewest turnovers in the NFL with just 1, and they haven't lost a fumble. Neither have the Jaguars though, which makes Monday night's matchup even more interesting. When Mahomes keeps the ball out of harm's way, the Chiefs are 12-1 in their last 13 games, including playoffs. But here's the catch. Jacksonville leads the league with 13 takeaways, including 9 interceptions and a +9 turnover margin. Their ballhawk secondary is no joke, and this matchup is a straight-up battle of discipline. Spagnuolo's defense thrives on forcing mistakes like those 2 first-half turnovers against Baltimore, while Jacksonville's 9 interceptions come from disciplined play, jumping quick routes, and baiting quarterbacks into tight windows. The Chiefs' near-perfect record when winning the turnover battle meets the Jags' takeaway machine on Monday night. It's going to be a test of Mahomes' precision and the receivers against a defense that feasts on mistakes. Can Mahomes keep it out of harm's way? That's the million-dollar question. This is going to be real defensive competition, not like what we saw against the Ravens, who were depleted beyond belief. Nick Jones has been stepping up in a monster way as a rookie. McDuffie is back in the slot where he really excelled and had major success, and the defense keeps throwing different looks at teams, making it hard to game plan against them. Being able to apply pressure and force quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence to make quick decisions is going to be huge. When you give a corner more than 7 seconds to cover a wide receiver, it's difficult even for the best. But if you're applying pressure and forcing that quarterback to move out of the pocket and get uncomfortable, you're making guys who don't do that naturally, like Lawrence or Jared Goff coming up next, make decisions on the run or take sacks. Personally, I believe this defensive unit is actually better than people realize, and the turnover battle on Monday night is going to determine whether Kansas City stays undefeated or if Jacksonville pulls off the upset. But let's keep it real about some negatives from that Ravens game, because it wasn't all perfect. The red zone play calling is still a problem. For whatever reason, the Chiefs struggle when they get into the 30-yard line or really get into the red zone. They can't figure out how to attack a defense in that compressed space. The field shrinks down and they're trying to figure out what type of run game they have. Do they lean on Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt in those situations? It feels like when they get down into that zone, defenses know that if Kareem Hunt's out there, there's a good chance he's going to try to run it up the middle. At times, it just feels like they don't know the perfect play call or how to really attack in the red zone. That's a negative because there were a lot of opportunities yesterday where they could have put up way more points, but just couldn't score touchdowns. Travis Kelce wasn't even targeted in the red zone from what anyone could tell, and a lot of people predicted a Kelce touchdown from a betting standpoint. That's a problem when your best red zone weapon isn't getting looks. Then there's Harrison Butker, who continues to have the yips and make mistakes. At some point, you have to look at Butker and ask that where we're at now. They were talking about it on 8 on 10 radio and identified that he's like the 4th or 5th most accurate kicker right now in the NFL at 88%. But in the current state, what's causing him to miss? His foot is coming into contact with the football differently, and he's missing far right, which Butker doesn't usually do. He usually misses left. Even when he's making his kicks and extra points, there were a couple times where you're like, oh my gosh, did he make that? It just barely goes over the post. That accuracy hasn't been as sharp this year, and he has to get that figured out because that could impact a game at some point down the line. The running game is another concern even after rushing for 118 yards as a team. Part of that is because Xavier Worthy had 2 carries for 38 yards, which is a huge chunk. Pacheco had 7 for 35. Hunt had 13 for 34. The way the Chiefs used Hunt was basically short yardage situations. If it's 3rd and 1, just get that 1 yard. He would get that 1 yard and really nothing else, averaging 2.6 a carry. Pacheco averaged 5 yards a carry, but against this Ravens defense, he probably could have looked better. There was a screenplay to Pacheco in the first quarter, and there was an overhead view showing that if he would have caught that football, he probably would have run for a touchdown. But he drops it, and it's almost like within that moment, they dropped him down the depth chart because we saw Brashard Smith get a lot more opportunities in different situations. They might have pulled Pacheco to the side. He looked like he was maybe wincing on the bench dealing with an injury. The fact that they started putting Smith out there more and Hunt getting more opportunities shows they're finally adjusting. Smith needs more more opportunity, and we saw that provide a different dynamic to the backfield, even if he didn't have a whole lot of success. Thinking about it honestly, the negatives aren't deal breakers, but they're things that need to be cleaned up before playoff time, especially that red zone efficiency and Butker's accuracy issues. Monday night against Jacksonville is going to be the real test that shows whether this offense can sustain what they did against Baltimore. The Jags have an elite defense that's going to put Kansas City's high and mighty, confident offense to the test. This is about proving they can dominate against true defensive competition, not just a depleted Ravens squad. The Chiefs are building momentum at exactly the right time, and if they can take care of business Monday night, they'll head into that Lions game with serious confidence. All things considered, I'm excited as hell for Monday Night Football because we're finally going to see what this team is really made of when facing a defense that can actually challenge them.